Hey guys, Chris from Black Flag Barbell Club. Today we're going to talk about leg drive on the bench press because everyone wants a bigger bench. So leg drive, a lot of people understand that leg drive is a thing. I don't know that a lot of people understand how to apply it well. So the way that we teach leg drive is usually we'll start as purely like we want you to use your legs to be stable, to increase the position, the stability of the position you're putting yourself in. So setting the shoulders, using the legs to consistently drive onto the shoulders so the shoulders stay put. And that's, for a lot of people, that's all you really need. As long as you're doing that, you'll be pretty good. You're getting enough leg drive to consistently progress on the bench, blah, 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 blah. If you want to eventually sort of turn that leg drive into assisting the lift a bit more, like helping you off the chest, that's a little extra oomph that we teach later on. But we're going to go through mainly today the way to apply that first area of leg drive in terms of I want to be using my legs to make sure my position is stable, that I'm reinforcing all of the things that will let me lift this well from here. Yeah, so I'm using my legs to reinforce all of this stuff so that I can lift this. Yeah? So, let's have a look. Alright, I've got the camera zoomed in, so I have to be here. We've got a few things that we want to keep in mind with leg drive. Primarily, the big one that I want people to understand is that when you push through your feet and through your leg, you're pushing yourself this way. Yeah? As if I was pushing myself up the bench. And I'll show you this when I'm laying down in a sec. I don't want to push up, yeah? Because generally if you push straight up, you're just going to lift your bum. And if your bum comes off the bench, lift doesn't count, it's no good, yeah? So we're pushing this way, yeah? One of the other things that you can think of in terms of where do I put my feet, that we want, ideally, if you're really tall this is going to be hard, ideally we want the knee to be below the hip, yeah? If your hip is already a little bit extended, yeah, because your knee is underneath it, then it's going to be much harder for you to lift your bum off the bench. Not impossible, but it's going to be harder for you to lift your bum off the bench, and you're probably going to get better drive when you push this way, yeah? So, we want to push up the bench, yeah, as if we were sliding up the bench. We don't want to move, but that's the direction we're pushing, and we want to try and get our knee underneath our hip. Now, if you have limitations in rules, like if you lift in the IPF, then you have to have your feet flat. Yeah, so the most you can get away with in terms of heel lift is you can wear like a heeled Olympic lifting shoe and your foot will still be flat, but your heel is a little bit raised. If you've got to use tricks like that, feel free. If you're not competing in a fed, or if you're competing in a fed that doesn't care, then play around with having your heels up, heels down. Find what feels comfortable, find what feels strong. Where do you get that strong drive from? Yeah? So point number one, I want to be pushing myself this way up the bench. Now, if I've got my shoulders set, my feet flat, okay, I don't want to push up. Yeah, this gets me nowhere. I want to push this way, and if I let my arms fall off to the side for a bit, so what I want to see when I push from here is I want to reinforce the weight that I've got pushing down on my shoulder blades, yeah? So if I push this way, I want my chest to pop up, and so I'm driving my weight into my shoulders. Yeah? It's not a huge movement, yeah? There's not a whole, I don't have to set up 6 inches away and then like really slide into it. I can if I want, and I can push onto my shoulders and then drop from here and maintain that, yeah? But if all I'm doing is setting my shoulders and then pushing with my legs, I'm still getting that same little bit of pickup. I've got my weight here. That's all I really need, yeah? And then I keep this pressure while I unrack and do this. When it goes back, then I can let it off and relax, okay? But I don't want to be just lifting my bum. That's not the goal, okay? Now if I was to do the same thing with my heels up, yeah, so instead of having my feet flat, if I was to be here, now it's much harder for me to raise my bum. If I want to, like if I just try and lift my bum off the bench, I can do it, but it's very small distance it's coming up. So if I'm driving with my legs in a heavy bench from this position, it's much harder for me to accidentally raise my bum when benching, yeah? So if I set the shoulders, heels up, now everything's the same. I'm still pushing this way, but it's much harder to lift my bum, and I can push a little bit harder without thinking, is my bum going to come up, yeah? So exact same thing, I'm still trying to shove onto my shoulders. Getting a hammy cramp. And you'll see that one of the things that leg drive will elicit is this chest will come just a little bit up, maybe a half inch, yeah? And that's one of the things, hello there. That's one of the things you want to look for. When you're setting your leg drive, does your position get better? Yeah? If it doesn't get better, what's the leg drive achieving for you? Yeah? We're using it to reinforce a good position. So we achieve good position, we set our shoulders, and we use the leg drive to solid that up or to improve it. Yeah? So, two different ways in terms of heel up or foot flat. You can play around. There's some people like, probably not going to say his name right, Sean Noriega over in the US, who sets up, hopefully you can see it on the camera, but his feet are like way out here, yeah? And he has a nice big thoracic arch and everything, and that works for him. So play around with different angles, different places to put your feet. Like just give yourself a week to experiment with different things. Once you find one that feels strong, feels comfortable, you're getting the right things happening, stick with that for a while and just see where it goes. Yeah, stick with it for a couple months, a full training cycle, and just play around with it, you know, get comfortable with it, and then later on you can say, maybe I want to tweak it this way. Yeah? All right. So we understand that we're trying to use that leg drive to drive us onto our shoulders. We're trying to reinforce that shoulder position. Yeah? So if I'm using that leg drive, I want to see one of two things, if not both things. So I want to see my position improve. Yeah? If I'm trying to get on top of my shoulders, I want to see a little bit of that increase when I use my leg drive. And I want to see that position not change. So if I bring the bar down to my chest and I've got the weight sitting on me, if I'm using my legs, I don't want to see that weight push me out of position when the weight touches my chest. Yeah, because I've got all that pressure coming up, and that's helping me keep my position. So we're reinforcing our setup, and we're maintaining the position under load even when that load is sitting on our chest. I don't want it to like dip in and come back out. Okay? So that is the basics of leg drive. Now once you set the leg drive, once you've set the position, like you unrack it, set your leg drive, and you go, you don't let it off. You may have to, similar to your shoulder position, like between reps, you might have to grab a little here and just get that extra that you were missing, like you've let a couple of percentage points off during that last rep. That's fine, but it should never be you finish the rep, you go completely limp and then try and get it again. Because if you go limp with weight on you, you're going to lose the position and you'll never reclaim it fully. Okay? So it's one of those things like your shoulder being set in the right spot that you don't let off until you've put the bar back. Yeah, when the set is done, then you can relax. Okay? It's not particularly comfortable. Yeah, benching is probably the least comfortable lift to maintain the position for most people in my experience, and that's normal. It should be uncomfortable. You don't want to be there for very long. You want to do your reps and get out. And it's all on this sort of this spectrum of, you know, how specific to powerlifting do you want to be? Yeah, if you want to go for a huge 1 rep max, or if you're competing nationally or you've got goals to compete nationally and internationally, you're going to push into this a lot further. You're going to have a much bigger arch over time than someone who just wants to train for health and wellness and do some general strength training. So keep in mind, you don't have to have this huge arch. Yeah, that's mainly just because in a competition, the minimum distance is something ridiculous, like 3 inches or 10 centimeters or something. Like, it's tiny. So if you can arch up to that, yeah, no one asks you how far do you bench, only how much. If you're not competing, or if you're not competing with the idea that I want to get every fucking kilo out of my technique that I possibly can, like you're just using it to test yourself every so often, then you don't have to have a massive arch. That's fine. Set what's comfortable, use your leg drive, keep it consistent, and you'll be golden. As long as you are consistent, you'll get better. Okay? So leg drive. Push yourself onto your shoulders, keep it consistent, don't let the weight push you out of position. Yeah? We'll do another video on this in a little while, where we'll talk about using leg drive to help pop the bar off the chest. It's sort of like a bit of a kick, if you want, which can be very helpful at bigger weights. But if you are starting out, if you're newer to lifting, do not worry about it. Aim to be consistent for now and get to that later. Okay? As always, if you've got any questions, if you want to send us an email or a question, or you want to see a different video on something in particular, hit us up on Facebook, Black Flag Barbell Club, Instagram, Black Flag Barbell, email info@blackflagbarbell.com.au, or just leave us a comment. Nice and easy. Catch you next time.
Yeah, motherfuckers better know.